Hello everyone, my name is Richie and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be discussing the upcoming Dovetail Direct livestream on Sunday the 11th of Feb, which will be this Sunday by the time you're watching this. I thought I'd do this video because I want to make a couple of predictions and I want to make a couple of my own suggestions that I want to see get announced on Sunday. Thought it might be interesting just to delve into it a little bit. So yeah, let's get into it. So before recording this, I did have a look at last year's Dovetail Direct. I know it was called the Spring Summit then, but yeah, I had a look at that to see what they announced and what sort of things they announced. So last year they announced a new Loco, which was the Acela Express, a new US route, a gameplay pack, 2 third-party routes, the new German route, which at the time was Linke-Rheinstrecke, and a new UK route. And they also mentioned that they were teaming up with ViewApp to release Tram Sim Console Edition. So on that basis, I'm going to guess that they're going to announce a new Loco, which will layer into a couple of routes, a new US, UK, German route, a gameplay pack, 2 third-party announcements, and possibly the Austrian Route on the roadmap, and also a mention of a new train game, or tram game, with ViewApp, which I'll get into. So what do we already know? So before Christmas, we had the teasers for the Goblin Line, the Rosenheim to Salzburg route, and the Class 104 pack for Peak Forest. So we already know that. It's not been fully confirmed in the roadmap or whatever, but we know we're getting them. We also know from the roadmap in December that we've got a new unnamed Austrian route coming out, an unnamed UK route by Rivet, 2 unnamed US routes, one in the 0 to 3 months category and one in the 6 months plus category, and we also have another German route which is also 6 months plus. We've also got route from Alan Thompson Simulation and Union Workshop and the DBBR 420. So since the December roadmap we have had a couple of leaks, teasers or whatever. Skyhook have teased another freight pack, gameplay pack for Midland Main Line, which has been coined as the Cargo Line Volume 2. And like I said before, there's a new tram game that's due to come out, which is going to be made by both Dovetail and by ViewApp. In like a fictional European city. So I feel like there'll be an announcement for that. So my predictions for the Dovetail Direct live stream on the 11th of Feb 2024. Obviously, the new Loco, it's going to be the Class 104. We already know that, and I don't see why they wouldn't announce anything more than that. What I do think, though, is it may layer into West Somerset Railway, because obviously that got remastered. And I feel like the 104 would fit on there nicely. It has run on there in the past, so I feel like it'd make quite a lot of sense to add a few timetable services onto the West Somerset Railway remastered. So I reckon that'll be the new Loco. I don't know where else the 104 will layer into. Perhaps they might announce something that it'll also layer into an old, 60s, 70s era route. We don't know. It might even layer into Blackpool branches. I'm not too sure. Now, for the gameplay pack, I think they're going to do one of them Loco add-on bundles like they did with at the start of TrainsimWorld 3 when they did the... what was it called now? It was a 182, there was the RHTT, and there was something else. I think it was the Rainbow Eyes, something like that. There was like 3 reskins or whatever of existing Locos that were repurposed for the core routes, and I think they're going to do the same for the 3 TSW4 core routes, which will be probably a OBB railjet with a reused and reliveried 182, DBBR 182, the Metrolink MP, whatever it's called, the one that's on Peninsula Corridor. I reckon they'll relivery that into Metrolink, and also I think we're going to get an LNER HST, because I think that all that would require is a relivery and obviously the change of the interior as well. But I think an LNER HST would fit in very nicely onto the East Coast Main Line. So it'll be interesting, and I certainly will pick that up if it's a fair price. So the new German route, will be Rosenheim to Salzburg. We already know that, and I don't think they'll announce the one 6 months plus. I think that's more of a summer thing. I think, to be honest, that's going to be a TSW5 thing. Not that I want them to release a TSW5 because it's a bit of a ball ache to transfer all your DLC from one to the other. But if they do, it's fine. I'll still play it because it's trains at the end of the day. I love trains. So the interesting one will be this new US route that they've not teased. I thought they would have teased it before Christmas. I've got an interesting theory here. So, like, with the US routes, they tend to, like, flip between the coasts. So, they'll do one route on the west coast and one on the east coast and so on and so forth. And if you look at the past US releases, it kind of supports my theory. So, we go back as far as the Harlem line. You got Harlem, which was in New York. Then you had Cajon Pass in California. And then we had New York Trenton. And then we had Antelope. So, with that pattern, I'm going to say that the next route is going to be a New York-based route. A lot of people are rumouring that Long Island Railroad could have an overhaul and a remake. And if that is the case, then I think that's quite probable, to be honest. And I think a lot of people would like that. But I think if they was to remake it, they would add on to it like a Southeastern high-speed extended thing. So I reckon they'll extend it to... I don't think they'll extend the main line. I think they'll add a branch, and I think they'll potentially add Port Washington branch, which will be quite interesting. And then I reckon they'll also add in the M9, which I think could layer onto the Harlem line. I don't think they would do that though. But yeah, I think that's what they'll announce if they do announce the Long Island Railroad overhaul. However, I personally think we'll see the New Haven line announced because that's another one that's been highly suggested. And that's something that could also be layered into the Harlem line. I mean, considering that a portion of the Haven line is also the Harlem line, so half the work has already been done. And I think it'll probably go as far as maybe like, I think Stamford, maybe. I'm not too familiar on the New Haven line, but I think if they were going to announce a brand new route, not no remakes or anything, I think it would be the New Haven line. It seems to make the most sense. So moving on to our third party predictions. I think obviously we'll have the UK Rivet route announced, and I don't know where they could go with this, to be honest. I've made a personal suggestion of my own, which is the Ebbw Valley line in South Wales, because we've not got a Welsh route, and this seems to fit Rivet's criteria very well. It's a majority single track line, it's 8 stations, I'm not too sure on the mileage, but the unit is a 150. So they could reuse the 150 they had for West Cornwall Local, and then they also run 170s on there. So they could make a 170, and maybe down the line they could make a reliveried 170 in ScotRail and layer it onto Edinburgh Glasgow. That's my thought process. We'll see what happens, but I personally think that will be the case. Well, that's what I hope for. I don't think it'll be the case. I think it'll most likely be a Scottish route, but I want to see the Ebbw Valley line. And I want to see a Welsh route, to be honest, so I think that's what'll happen. The other third-party announcement, I think they'll finally have a release date for the DBBR 420, and I'll tell you why. I think that in a little while, because it links onto something else I'm predicting. And then for route announcements, I think the last route they'll announce is the new Austrian route, which is coming out in 4 to 6 months' time. It seems to be around about, last year they announced the Peak Forest route, which was about 3-4 months down the line. So before they go into all the next bunch of, US and UK and German routes, I think they'll announce the new Austrian route. I don't know where it'll be. I don't know Austrian railways very well, but hopefully maybe something around Vienna. I'm thinking around Vienna because there's already a bit of reference to Vienna in TramSim, and they're teaming up with UApp to make a new tram game. So, on that basis, I think we could get something like that. And to top it all off, I think they'll obviously mention about new updates, the formation designer, all that sort of stuff. I think we'll finally have an announcement for the Colnarken update, and when we're getting that. And I think we'll get another route upgrade. And this links in with my previous prediction of the DBBR 420 being announced. I think we'll get a route upgrade to Munich to Augsburg, because the 420 was going to be made for that route, and I think they're finally going to update that. I know that Matt's mentioned he'd love to get that route updated, so I feel like that route is going to get a major overhaul, and I think it's being worked on alongside the Colnarken route, and I think them two are going to have like a similar release window because it's all going to be, you know, linked together. So I think the 420, and I think the 420 will layer onto Colnarken as well. So I think it's all piecing together, and it makes sense. So I think that's going to be the case for German stuff, and obviously we've got that German route that's 6 months plus. Instead of announcing that route, I think they're going to announce a new route upgrade, and we can see that in the next few months. And I think it's personally what I want. So yeah, that's a very brief video on what I think we're going to see in the Dovetail Direct live stream. I'm going to be there live. I think it's at 7 o'clock on Sunday, so I'm going to be watching it and seeing what's happening. I'm quite excited for it, really. There's a lot of other stuff I thought potentially we could get, but I will delve into my own suggestions and recommendations and whatever in future videos. But for the time being, I'm looking forward to it, and I think everyone else is looking forward to it, and I may do like a little live reaction to it afterwards. So yeah, we'll see. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.